welcome to every one of you. My name is Marta, and I am going to introduce you to the principles of personal development and Reiki. We are going to offer courses on Reiki, also on personal development. There is a strong relationship between the both of them, but the methods are different. So I will explain both, and then you can decide if you want to go deeper with the next workshops that we are going to teach. I wanted to say that I'm going to be talking about extremely subtle things, and it's normal that we have lots of questions. Please don't leave the room with questions. There is an answer to every question, and I want everybody to gain as much clarity as possible, okay? Okay, so I will let you know where all of this comes from. My name is Marta Martin. I am from the north of Spain. I was living in New York State for 7 years, and I was studying and working there. I was working as the editorial manager of a personal development, power of the mind, and meditation monthly course. I actually had studied this course since I was 17 years old. Then I never knew I was going to work with the author. I moved to New York, I met the author, and I was working with him very closely until he passed away a year and a half ago. I was also the chief translator of philosophy and personal development courses, including this one and other courses, for 10 years. And when I came back to Spain, I founded Avaya Personal Development and my spiritual spa. And I am teaching now. I travel around Spain to teach courses, and I also teach online to people from different countries. I just want you to know that everything I am going to talk about today doesn't come from my invention. It comes from a whole life of studying. I published all of these books. You can heal yourself with Reiki. The Spanish version, Tu puedes sanar con Reiki, it's the same book in 2 different languages. This one is a translation of Rumi poetry. Rumi is a very famous poet in the United States. A garden beyond paradise, but this is in Spanish, Un jardín más allá del paraíso. And then I translated one of the most important books on the creative power of the mind by Thomas Troward. He was a judge who worked in India when the British were living in India, and then when he retired, he started offering lectures about the creative nature of our thought. Of him, it is said that he's one of the first people who initiated the New Age movement, together with Neville Goddard, with Hugh Carruthers, with other authors who didn't know themselves because there was no internet at the time, but they all started speaking about the importance of our mind and how it affects our reality and how it affects us, and how to work with our mind to create a better living. I have been studying and practicing personal development and the creative power of thought for more than 30 years now. And the main source of study for me was a personal development course that I took, as I said before, since I was 17 years old, because my mom was studying that course. And she did meditate back then, but I didn't want to meditate because I had a lot of energy. I couldn't sit down, I couldn't focus my mind. And one day she said to me, well, if you don't want to meditate, don't meditate, but at least read this. And she gave me one of those lessons. The moment I started reading them, I felt so amazingly good that I got addicted to that knowledge. I didn't understand what the person was talking about so well because it was so deep and profound, but it made me feel so good. I continued with that course, and then I worked with the author. And then this person had a teacher who was a psychiatrist. He graduated as a psychiatrist and then went to Tibet and stayed there for 17 years. And he came back to the United States in the time of the Big Depression, 1929, because his teachers in Tibet told him, teach Westerns how to develop more abundance using the creative power of their thinking, and that is what he did. And he wrote a course, and I have been studying that course for 8 years now. The course lasts 16 years. The first course lasted for 45 years. As you can imagine, there is so much to develop and to know. This doesn't mean that we need 10 years to get results. Real personal development will offer results immediately, but the depth is so huge, and taking control of our minds and our lives is a lifelong process. So, we're going to offer here Reiki trainings to enhance your energy level. This is the first thing that people notice. You feel rejuvenated, revitalized in all levels. I've had children come to the courses, I've had old people come to the courses, young people come to the courses, and for each and every one of those people, their life is totally transformed, because you feel as if a heavy weight that you had been carried with you goes away, and you start seeing yourself and seeing life in new ways. People stop feeling so much negativity to start feeling good most of the time. So it's an extraordinary source of well-being. Reiki is a complementary therapy. It is recognized as such by the World Health Organization. We don't need to touch people. We just use our hands to convey vital force. I will explain what that is in a moment. So it's not invasive, and when we practice it regularly, it totally changes our lives. It supports mental and emotional balance, because the feeling that you have when you use it is of amazing relief and amazing well-being. It lowers stress and people start feeling great. Many people came to my courses because someone from their family or some friend did the course, and they didn't dare to tell others that they did the course. And then people around those people started seeing changes, and they would say, "You look so good. What's going on? Why are you smiling so much? You're fantastic." And finally they told their friends or family, "Well, I did a Reiki course." And then those other people came to the class because they were searching for the same. So the change is not only something that you feel, it's visible for everybody around you. Reiki is used in 33% of the hospitals in the United States. It is used also in the social security system in United Kingdom. I asked someone from there, and she said it is true, but not all social security centers offer it, only some of them. But it's something that doctors there recommend their patients. And it got into hospitals because it is known that it enhances the immune system. So it helps when people are getting chemotherapy. There are less secondary effects from that, so it reduces expenses, so that is why they use it. There are some scientific experiments that have been performed to see what happens when a person practices Reiki, and I will tell you about them in a moment. So what is Reiki? Reiki is a Japanese word because the person who rescued this method has been used since thousands of years ago, but the person who developed it and offered it to the world was a Japanese person. When we try to understand what Reiki means, we will not get to understand it, because in the Western world we don't consider such concepts. The closest translation to Reiki is vital force, vital energy, the energy of life. So I know I am alive, I know you are alive, I know you are alive, I know a plant is alive, I know an insect is alive. We don't see the aliveness, we don't see the energy that keeps everything alive. We see the external manifestation, which is people living their lives. So this energy is something that is not visible. However, it has two qualities that it's important to always remember. One of them is that it is intelligence in its pure state. When as people think of intelligence, we think of thinking thoughts. What is intelligence? Thinking thoughts and having memory about those thoughts. But this intelligence of this vital force is not an intelligence that has anything to do with thinking thoughts. It's the intelligence that we can see present in nature. The sun rises and we can calculate mathematically when it will rise in 3 months, It's a mathematical intelligence. When the grass moves towards the rays of the sun to get the light, and the water becomes the clouds, and then it pours down and cleans the air and nurtures the earth. There is no way a human being can control everything that is happening in nature that is making life possible, and not only that, it's making expansion possible. This is one of the qualities of this vital force. This is a metaphor, but it has this spiral movement towards expansion. And the motto of this vital force is, may your life be greater and greater and greater. May your life be more abundant and greater and greater. This explains why, even though there are lots of things to fix in this world right now, we are better now than we were 100 years ago. Right? It would be really hard for us to go back 100 years. We wouldn't be able to stand it. Even 50 years ago, our life is better. We have more opportunities, more ways to experience life. Right? So, this energy is the energy of life. This means it can't harm. It will always foster life. It will always feel great. There is no way I can do bad Reiki session. I can't harm in any way. The second quality of Reiki is that it has the same frequency that the energy of love. Again, love is present everywhere. The problem is we don't see it because we're thinking of our problems or the past, or we fear the future, or we can't stop thinking about that trauma that we lived. However, love is present everywhere. This is why when we use this energy, which is what we learn in the Reiki course, we feel relieved. It will always raise our inner state. It doesn't matter how we're feeling in the moment. If I have a depression, I will feel relief. If I am happy, I will feel super happy. It never stops surprising me, and I've been using it since 1997. It's always surprising, it's ever new, it's always incredibly helpful when I use it. So, Reiki is a Japanese term, as I said. In order to understand these techniques, we need to move our mind towards the Eastern philosophies that come from Tibet, India, or Japan. We don't think of vital energy here. You go to a doctor and they say, oh, you have a problem in your stomach. That's it. They don't check the energy behind it, because we don't consider that. So when we want to translate it, we say, okay, it's vital force. The Japanese people call this vital force ki. The Chinese people call it chi. The Indian people call it prana. And here in the Western world, we were like, what? What? We don't even know that it exists when it is our own life running through our veins. So I like to include all the knowledge that I got from my studies in Eastern philosophies in my Reiki courses, because they explain everything about the functioning of Reiki. So these philosophies also explain very deeply the depths of the human beings. So then we can understand how this energy that we can see can make us feel so good. The layers of human being, according to Indian philosophies, if you go to Tibet, they will tell you something a bit different than this, but then all of that information always matches. We have the physical body, that is what we always relate to. It's what I see in the mirror. When I look at the mirror, it's what I have to take out of bed this morning and bring to work or bring to this lecture. It's what hurts me when I bump myself against something, and it's what is born and what then it will die. We have the energy body. The energy body is never born nor it dies. We have the causal body and the supracausal body. I will focus on the physical body and the energy body today. The human body is what we know, but we also have an energy body, which is a double. It's the prototype of the physical body. It is made of light. We cannot see it with our eyes because the range, the frequency of that light that it is made of is not visible by the human eye. You know that people who train dogs, they use whistles. When they whistle the whistle, the dog hears a noise, but the human being doesn't hear anything, because the frequency of vibration of that noise is beyond the range of vibrations that human ears can hear. The same happens with the sight. We don't want to see the energy body because it would be a bit confusing to see you and then see a lot of light moving around you, you know. We don't need, the goal is not to get to see it, but it's good to know that it is here. To understand why this energy can transform illness into health in many, many cases, or it can help you feel amazingly good in stable ways. This means I feel great, but then I don't go back. From this feeling great, I will feel greater and greater and greater. So this is something that resembles a bit what the energy body does in the physical body. Both are interwaved, one is within the other. The physical body has veins and arteries and a heart that is pumping the blood all around, and we have a brain that is controlling the nervous system. In the same way, in the energy body, we have 7,200 million energy veins through which our chi or prana is moving around. So the energy that we are creating doesn't stay within the limits of our body, it goes beyond, even though we can't see it. I am sure you all have felt this when you come close to a person that you don't know, as I will come close to you, as close as this, then my energy and your energy are getting together. When this happens, sometimes we don't get an impression, it's a neutral impression, but sometimes I get close to a person, this is not true, but I get close to a person and I get this really bad feeling, but I don't have information for that feeling. He was nice, he didn't say mean words to me, but I feel so bad. This is because our energies are not compatible. This is like a thermometer that we have. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the opposite is true. They introduce me to somebody and I get this nice feeling. And I'm like, oh, I want to get to know this person. I hope he comes to the party. No, because our truth is being shared in this getting close together. So, in a child, when a child is born, and we've all been children, the chi is flowing freely. There is no obstruction. Our chi is flowing freely throughout those millions and millions of energy veins called nadis in the Hindi tradition. The first consequence of this free movement of energy throughout our body is a sense of joy and love. We were born in joy and love. If you have children around, you will see that that's their natural state. They don't need anything else to feel joy and love. They contagiate you of that feeling. We were like that, even though we can't remember now that we were full of joy and full of love. This is the first consequence. Something that keeps them with this level of energy and with this feeling of joy and love is that they are constantly focused on the present moment. They make the best out of each present moment. If there is nothing around, they will create joy there. If there is a toy, they will create joy. Wherever they are totally focused in the moment. When some negative event happens, you have to go for dinner now, or you need to take a bath and they don't want to, they go negative. They get so intense, and 3 minutes later, they are again so joyful. It's amazing to watch, because an adult person has a negative event, and then I can't go back to the present moment. I don't let go of the negativity. I keep it in my mind, in my memory, and I think about it, and I think about it for a day, for two, for a month, for a year, for 20 years. I'm still fighting against that event that happened. What this does to our energy is that if this is a representation of our energy body, our chi flowing around. So, because as we grow up, we lose that capacity to keep our minds in the present moment, we learn from our parents, from our teachers, from society, to start thinking of the past, keeping the memory of what happened, what they told us, what we did, and then we project our mind towards the future. What's going to happen, what I don't want to happen, what I hope it won't happen, what I really want that it will happen. So if we could only think about those positive memories from the past, we won't have any problem. But so many times we are thinking exactly of that which we don't want, the worst things that we lived. So, if I'm thinking of the past, how am I feeling now? If I am thinking of a negative event in the past, am I feeling good? I can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. If I think of a negative memory or of a negative imagination, I will feel really bad. Now, I can only think of the future based on the knowledge that I have now. Do you agree with that? Can I choose different thoughts from the ones that I've been having continuously for months and years? No way. I mean, I keep myself focused in the same choices, in the same thoughts. Therefore, the decisions that I make have to do with what I already did, what I already lived. It's extremely difficult to get out of that wheel. I'm due to repeat the past. So many people think, I have to think of it because if not, it will repeat itself again. And the opposite is true. The more I keep thinking about that, the more I will make the same decisions and go back into the same situation. A year ago, his name was Louis. In a month, his name will be Peter, but it will be the same kind of a relationship. 2 years ago, it was my boss called John. In a year, it will be a new boss called Sam, but it will be the same kind of a relationship. So, can I make decisions that are different from my current knowledge? It's impossible. So, in order to improve our lives, we need to start making new decisions. Therefore, we need to work with whatever thoughts are happening right now that make us feel bad, or with whatever thoughts that come from the past that are blocking us from feeling joy, feeling love, and feeling great. Yes? It makes sense, right? So, in our mind, you know, if we think about it, what is the mind? I know I have a brain, but what is the mind? What is the mind? What is a thought? That's another question. Because I can see my bottle of water, I can weight it, I can touch it, but I can't touch a thought. I see it in my mind. It's totally ephemeral, it's totally subtle, you know, but it's so powerful. Because if I am thinking negative thoughts, I feel terrible. If I am thinking hopeful thoughts, I will feel great. So in personal development, we learn how the mind works, and we learn what the different parts of the mind are. The mind is like a motor. I need to know how the engine works in order to get good results from it. So the parts of the mind are 5. It's intellect. I can't go into all of those parts today. I would love to do it, but we don't have enough time. It's the intellect, the ego, the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and omniconscious mind. So the conscious mind is this little part here. The conscious mind uses the brain, and it's all those thoughts that we have in our mind all day long since we wake up. I wake up, I recognize I'm in Spain or I am in New York or wherever, and then the radio starts. I'm going for breakfast while I'm thinking about everything that I have to do today. My mind thinks all the time, my conscious mind. The conscious mind is the part of our mind that uses logic. It's the logical thinking. Oh, there is a lot of sun, it must be warm outside. Oh, no, it's snowing, I need to get my coat. It's the part of our mind that interprets the information that the senses are perceiving. Oh, this is the conference, I am here with people, I am in Rota now. This is around 10% of our mental activity and power. This is based on Eastern philosophies. It is not psychology, I wanted to clarify. The other 90% is our subconscious mind. We cannot separate those minds. It's like looking at the ocean. They are together. The conscious mind will be the waves that we see on the surface, and the subconscious mind is the water underneath. We can't get one apart of the other. They are totally connected all the time, but their function is a bit different. The subconscious mind is like the hard drive of our personal computer. It's that part of the mind where every thought I ever had that my conscious mind decided it was true, then that thought became a part of my subconscious. The subconscious mind doesn't have any logic. It can't decide. It can't tell you, oh, you're thinking negatively about yourself, this is going to bring you lots of problems, I will not take that information. It can't. The language of the subconscious mind is one word, 2 letters. It doesn't have verbs, it doesn't have any grammar, it's only 2 words. It's, well, 3 letters. I was thinking in Spanish. Yes. Sí, in Spanish. It's yes. So the moment the conscious mind thinks something is true, then the information goes to the hard drive and it becomes a program. Then I have my computer. I just bought my computer. It runs really fast. It's extremely useful. I work fabulously with the computer, but when time goes by, because there are so many programs in the computer, it goes slower, it doesn't have so much memory, the response is not that great. The same happens with us. Imagine if I decided things that were true that were not true, and it did happen to all of us. When we were being raised, our parents taught us the way they saw the world. They loved us, they wanted the best for us, but they were conditioned people too. So because it came from powerful figures for us, we got so many programs in our subconscious mind that are not that positive. Maybe they were true back then, but they don't need to be true right now. I was told in school, you will never speak English. And for many years it was so hard to me to be in the classes until the belief transformed. I could change it and transform it. But when I believe something is true because a teacher tells me, because my parents tell me, or because I just happen to be thinking negatively, we have positive beliefs in our subconscious mind, but they are not the problem. The problem are the negative ones. When that thought or idea or concept comes into the subconscious mind, it becomes a belief, and then this creates an automatic reaction. It will always be with us. It's not going to change until we do personal development in order to transform, to find out the beliefs that are holding us, that don't let us grow, and then we do the work to transform them. So you can imagine what beliefs we have. I could feel or know I am good. Or I could feel, I'm not that good, I'm bad. I'm enough, or I'm not enough. The way people live life depends totally in this information. Even though my living conditions might be great, if I feel I'm not enough, it's not enough. It's not enough. I cannot see beyond my own set of beliefs. Even if I know I have that belief, it's like if that belief is my word program. I start my computer and I know word is there, and I say, you are there, I say, you get out of there. And word is not going to get out of there. I need to practice personal development in order to transform whatever beliefs are not useful to me anymore for beliefs that are useful and let me live the greatest life imaginable. So, as I said, 10% of our mental activity and power is the conscious mind. The other 90% of our mental activity and power is the subconscious mind. This is why when I think as an adult, oh, I want to stop feeling fear, I make the decision with my conscious mind. But there is not going to be any changes as long as there are beliefs that have to do with fear in my subconscious mind. This is why sometimes I try something, I try, and I can't make it. Because my 10% of conscious mind cannot produce results because there is another 90% of contrary beliefs. If I decide I want to stop this fear and it happens, it's because there are no beliefs in my subconscious mind that are holding me back. So this puts in our hands the capacity to truly be, do, or have anything we want. Because in order to live something, we can always get there from the beginning of everything, which is our thinking. I will get into that in a moment. So, this is what I already said. The moment a thought creates an impression in the subconscious mind, whether it was true or it wasn't true, maybe they were angry one day and they yelled at me, oh, you're not worthy, or whatever, and I believed it. It wasn't even true. They felt horrible after they told me that. It wasn't even true, but I felt it true. I thought it was true. Boom. There I have that impression. Maybe it wasn't even true. It's not going to be true now, but the moment I have that information inside, I will act and feel like that. This is what hypnosis masters do. Hypnotists, they know how to put the conscious mind to sleep, and they are able to introduce a concept in the subconscious mind of the person. So imagine that we have here someone who is a very responsible person, serious person, and the hypnotist says, you are a chicken. And that person starts acting like a chicken, only because that belief was introduced in their subconscious mind. He's not a chicken, but he, to himself, is, for as long as that belief is inside. It's a bit of an exaggerated example, but this is how we live our lives. So that belief will repeat itself in automatic. When I'm with my closest family members, which is where all of our patterns show up, and I know I get too angry when I see socks on the floor, and I yell at everybody, and I become aware of that, and I tell them, you're right, I shouldn't be so crazy, I shouldn't yell at you, next time I will not do it. That's a decision that we take with the 10% of our conscious mind. The next thing we know is that tomorrow I see the socks and I go on automatic. I can't stop the reaction. I go on automatic and I yell again, and I'm doing the things that I don't want to do. I'm being the person I don't want to be, because I need to work on the pattern in order to be able to act differently. Of course, we will see ourselves through this belief. We will see life through this belief. We will make decisions based on the belief. Yes. You need repetition. First, you need to know what you want to change. Then you need to decide how you want to be instead. So you go to a positive ideal. I want to be calmer. I want to be brave. I want to feel sure about myself. I want to feel powerful, whatever it is. And then you need to spend time every day focusing, repeating the thought until you start feeling it, and then you continue repeating it until it becomes a habit. But the process is not that easy always, because when I'm introducing a new belief in my subconscious mind, when I have the belief life is difficult, and I think, okay, I'm going to use this information, this personal development information, and life is easy. So I start repeating to myself, life is easy, life is easy. I meditate on that. I focus on that. When the concept, life is easy, starts settling here, there is a fight between the old beliefs and the new beliefs. Two opposite beliefs cannot coexist together within our subconscious mind. Two thoughts can. Two opposite thoughts can. I can think I'm bad, I'm good. I can do that. But I cannot believe that I am good and that I am bad at the same time. So there are some reactions that can take place. The bigger your dream, the bigger the trip, the inner trip. So personal development will teach you the paths you need to take to get your results, and also it teaches you what happens. What could happen so that you don't step back, because sometimes the emotionality can be actually quite intense sometimes, not always. Then the results are amazing, because you can literally go from being, I was a very serious person, a very negative person, a very contractive person, and now I'm not like that. I'm happy, full of peace, I enjoy life, I laugh a lot, I talk to people, I don't feel shy, you know. That all of that is totally subject to be transformed. So, the negative beliefs block the free flow of our vital energy. And there are two consequences to this. We feel low energy, and some alternative theories explain this is the origin of certain illnesses. This is not science, this is only a theory. I've seen this be true too many times to not believe it, but I don't ask anyone to believe it. You don't need to believe this, just you can put it to a test and see what happens. And the other consequence of the energy not flowing freely is seriousness. Life feels hard and heavy. See how a child wakes up and see how you wake up. The children wake up, boom, and they are ready to start the day with a smile. And we hear the alarm clock and go like, oh, I don't want to stand up, I don't want to go to work. My body is so heavy, my face is so serious. Then I see everyone around me is so serious too that I think, oh, this is the way life is. And no, everyone is doing it wrong. Because we lack the knowledge to keep our best inner state possible under all circumstances. So, after a Reiki course, you learn how to inject huge amounts of vital force into your body and into other people. People usually use it for their children, for their family, for friends. Some people come and they learn because they want to use it in the professional setup, like they are osteopaths, and they use it there. You feel an extraordinary well-being. I mean, to me, I meditate, I know how to relax, I love nature, I've traveled, but the feeling of Reiki is one of the most undescribable to me. It's always new, it's always surprising, it's always amazing. A deep sense of relief. This raises your inner state. This means, if I am feeling terrible, I will feel okay. That's a relief. That's better than feeling terrible. If I continue doing Reiki, in a few weeks, I won't feel okay, I will feel quite good. If I'm feeling good, and then I do Reiki, then I feel wonderful. Then I feel great. Then the whole thing changes. If we say that right now, how many hours of your day do you feel peace, joy, balance, contentment? Most people would say, you know, maybe an hour a day. If they get to feel that way 1 hour of their day, the rest of the time is intense feeling, hard feeling, or neutral feeling, but not that positive feeling. In time, this percentage totally shifts. And then you gradually become more content for a longer period of your day, more peaceful, more happy, until you reach a point where joy, peacefulness and happiness is your natural state. And when something negative happens, you are like, wow, I don't even remember the last time I felt so bad. That is true, that is true. So, of course, we need to do a regular Reiki practice. You won't need to find an hour of your day to do it. It's really easy to do, because what we do in the course is activate that capacity, and then you can do it when you go to bed. It's very easy. You can always place your hands on yourself when you go to bed and stay there until you wake up. If you stay the whole night long with your hands doing Reiki, the way you wake up is amazing. Amazing. Totally rested, rejuvenated, enthusiastic, feeling light, amazing. But then if I do it for an hour and then I move, I will feel really good too. So it's very easy to practice. So what happens with this, and why Reiki is a personal development tool, is that when I do this regularly, because I'm raising my inner state, the negative beliefs cannot be here anymore. They can't be here. So if I came to the course with this series of blockages in my energy body, which each of them corresponds to one of my negative beliefs, and I start practicing Reiki, little by little they will start dissolving and going away. So then the personal development workshops I mean, there are many ways to practice personal development. Reiki is very easy because if I'm here emotionally or spiritually, what I'm doing with Reiki is infusing an energy that raises my inner state, and I feel really good. But there are other ways to do personal development if you don't want to do Reiki. It doesn't matter what technique of personal development you do. All of them have to do with working with the subconscious mind. They should have to do with that, because if not, there's no change possible, there's no transformation possible. So the personal development workshops that we want to teach here teach you how to work directly with those beliefs, how to dissolve any mental or emotional blockages that prevent you from being, doing, or having anything that you want. If I decide that I want a raise in my career and it doesn't happen because there's a belief inside of me. It's not my boss, it's not the system, it's a belief that exists inside of me. When I work with that belief, suddenly everything changes. I've had hundreds of students experience this. The moment they change the belief, suddenly the opportunity is there in a matter of days or weeks. Now you have to believe it because I'm saying so, but I dare you to experience it. You can put it to a test and see what happens. So, this is what I was explaining. I decide I want to enjoy life and feel better, but I'm deciding this with my conscious mind. As long as there are contrary beliefs, like life is difficult, all decisions that I make are made with the whole of my mind. And I think I'm making the right decision. But I can't make the decision that will take me to the results I want until my mind is totally aligned. And I make sure that the information in my subconscious matches the results that I want to get. So, the personal development that I teach comes from ancient Indian and Tibetan schools that are millenary. And they consider a human being as someone extremely powerful, totally powerful, as the creator of their life and the creator of their experience, and they consider a human being as someone fully capable of being, doing, or having anything he wants. But if I don't believe I can do it, then I will not do it. And I'm proving that power. I think I can do it, then I don't do it. So the only trouble, the only limits are those that we impose on ourselves. We need to know the machine. We need to get to know our mind. We are living with our mind 24 hours a day. And our mind is interpreting every circumstance of our life. And our mind is creating our reality. So the principles of personal development are: you are the creator of your own reality, and you can be, do, or have anything you want without any limits. Let me see what time it is. Do you have time to stay for a few more minutes? Yes? So, let's see how this creative power works. I'm saying thought is creative. There have been tons of experiments in quantum physics recently that prove what these ancient schools have been teaching for thousands of years. This knowledge has been public at the beginning of the 20th century. Before that, it was hidden in monasteries, and it was taught from master to student, And at the beginning of the 20th century, it became public. There were people who lived in Tibet, in India, who came back to the United States mostly, to the United Kingdom, and started teaching that to the masses. Still, most people don't know about it, and most people don't use it. So, let's see how thought creates reality. We have here 2 steps. Number 2 is actions, number 3 is results. So what are results? This conference, this lecture is a result. We're here. This is a result. A chair is a result of an action. Someone made the chair. The lecture is the result of me wanting to do it and talking to Auxie and her organizing the whole thing, and you deciding to come. My house, your house, is a result. I bought the house. Or someone made the house. An architect built the house. My physical state is a result too. How am I at age 30, at age 40, at age 50 is a result of actions. If I took lots of drugs, my body is not going to be the same at age 30 than the body of someone who led a healthy life. The actions those people took created results. My mental and emotional state, both are results of my thinking, of me controlling what I think or not controlling what I think. And we do have the power to control what we think. So, do we agree that results come from actions? But there is something before the action. There is the first step. In the Western world, we are so focused in the action. I'm going to do. I am going to set my goals. I am going to pursue this dream. And we are totally focused in the action. But sometimes that does not happen. Why? Because we are forgetting about the first step. What is the origin of every action? Thoughts and beliefs. Yes. It's obvious. Yes, but thank you for thinking that. Exactly. And that is memory. And right now, your past experience doesn't exist but in your mind. It exists in my mind. It already happened. It may not be here anymore, but as long as it is in my mind, it's going to be the cause of the results I get. So the first step and the most important step is thought. Always. Always. But we need to understand how this works, because in the Western world we have the whole mind system totally messed up. What we think is positive thinking is not positive thinking. It's all messed up. So if we consider a law called cause and effect, and we understand that thought is the cause, not the action. Thought is the cause, because I can't act if I don't think first. You can tell me, well, I was driving and I was going to my grandma's house, but I appeared at my job. That's subconscious thought. You go to your job every day, and today you didn't think about it, you relaxed, and then driving is a subconscious activity. I've repeated the action, I've repeated the thought or the action so much that then it goes on automatic. But it was thought, it was subconscious, but it was thought. So, the first of all is thought. Thought begets action, then that action begets the result. We need to understand that the nature of the thought is identical to the nature of the actions and results. And here, everyone is totally lost most of the time. If I saw a tomato seed, from that, tomatoes will come out. Not pineapples, not bananas, tomatoes. But because people are not aware of their thoughts processes, they get bananas when they wanted tomatoes, and they get mad. Oh, I don't want bananas. Why am I getting bananas? This is unfair. I'm the victim of life. Life isn't just. No, you were thinking bananas for you to get bananas. The nature of the thought is identical to the nature of the actions and results, means that what I feel when I'm thinking it is the same way I will feel when I get to the result. Because we are not aware of, I'm not talking about one ephemeral thought, like deciding I want bananas. No, I'm talking about the whole of my mind, which is conscious and subconscious. The general tone of my thinking, if it's negative, if it expects bad results, if I feel in the depths of my being that I'm not good enough, then I'm going to decide, or I'm going to take actions that will take me to jobs, relationships, situations that will reflect back to me what I'm thinking inside. Is this clear? Is this obvious? Okay. So, well, here I have all the information about the next workshops. We can do a Q&A session later for a few minutes.
Sure.
So, these personal development workshops come from the 3 years that I've been studying personal development, meditation, and the creative power of thinking. People who studied with me have been able to transform really difficult situations in a matter of weeks. With this, I mean you don't need to be waiting for years to get results, even though I've studied 30 years. But I don't have to wait. When it's real personal development, the results are almost immediate. So there is no limit to whatever one can get to have. But I will tell you some examples later. So we are going to do a 90-minute workshop once a month. The first one will be on Tuesday, February 18th. It will be $40 per person. And when you come here, well, it's for people 21 and older. I will be able to answer all of your questions through the email. I do that with my students all the time. I don't leave you there. Do it, and you can always write to me and ask me. This is a proved methodology. Right now I know you need to believe it because I'm saying so, but what I always say, don't believe anything I say, do it and see what happens. If this knowledge feels good to you. I've taught more than 6,000 people already. Up to now, no one has written to me to say, I didn't like it or it didn't work. Maybe 1% of people may say that, oh, it didn't work. And my first question is, how much time did you spend doing Reiki? Oh, I didn't do it. Then, of course, it will not work, How much time did you visualize? You need to be constant. Oh, I did it once a week. Of course, I'm telling you now, that's not going to work. But if you set up a time every day to work on it, the results are totally amazing. You will get a relaxation audio with brainwaves. I work with brainwaves. To download, you will have it and used for visualization exercises. We will have trainings in Reiki. There are 3 levels in Reiki. We start with level 1, then level 2, then level 3, then there is the master's course. So the next Reiki level 1 training will happen on Saturday, February 15th from 9 to 12 and from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. I wanted to do it in a full day because the experience is richer. It's one day. From level 1 you do amazing things already with Reiki. Incredible things already. Then the next levels increase your capacity to transmit vital energy. In level 2, we'll learn how to do it on the distance. That has been scientifically proven, it works. We get new knowledge and greater capacity. So the workshop, the first level is $140, second level $200, and third level $250 per person and per workshop. So in the Reiki level 1 training, you will learn how to use Reiki on yourself and on others in their presence. We can't do distant Reiki yet. Many parents come to the second level course because their children ask them to do Reiki on themselves every night and they are so tired. So they do the second level in order to be able to do it on the distance to their own children. You will learn how to reduce stress dramatically, how to find mental and emotional balance, how to control your thought processes, to find peace and maintain an extraordinary sense of well-being. And the course is designed for people aged 21 and up. I will be available for the rest of our lives to respond to questions. Sometimes I get questions from people who studied with me 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm always there. I always get back personally, and I will always get back personally. I've taught more than 5,000 people Reiki since 2003. You will get a diploma, Reiki certificate, and a deep relaxation audio that you will be able to download and enjoy during your Reiki practice, and a copy of my Reiki book. You can heal yourself with Reiki. It's this book. Yeah. I'll get you a copy. This book is full of questions that I received from students, and also the most beautiful part is the experiences they had during the course. The level of sensation is really, really, really beautiful. In Ponferrada, it's a little town in the north of Spain. the whole hospital came to my courses. And then there was the neurology department where they do this test, which must be really hard for the patient. They introduce this little something through the nose. It has to get to the lungs, and people get very anxious about it. So usually they need to give them medication to relax and do the test. So the nurse of that department did my course. And then she brought the chief, who was like scientifical minded. He didn't believe in any of this. He spent the whole course like this, looking at me. And then she would tell patients, do you want me to help you relax before the test? And they were so nervous, they told her, oh yeah, please. So she would do 5 minutes of Reiki, and they relaxed so much, they didn't need to give them any medication. So her boss, even though he was in the course, he couldn't get into Reiki at all. But anyway, he would tell her, if you relax that person, I will believe you. And then she would come and relax the person. No. If you relax that other person, I will believe you. Then a woman with a mental illness came, and that's not a placebo effect when there is a mental illness. So he said, if you can relax her, then I will truly believe you. And she had the woman, she asked her, she said yes, she put her hands on her, and she got asleep. And they did the whole test without any sedatives. And then he asked her to do a study to record all those results. They took it to a medical congress, and it was a great success. But some people, even though they feel great, and they may be using it, without telling you, you can't deny how great it feels.